Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. Companies to watch.
All right, folks, it's time to welcome Dangerous Dan because he's been racing over the weekend.
Oh, yes. Good morning, Racer Ryan. Yeah, I got it right. But yeah, it's been a fun weekend for me. I wouldn't call it a restful one, but yes, we're racing into companies to watch. That's a segment where we spotlight and stock you up with ideas of listed companies that will call for your attention. So we're looking at market trends to risks as well as hidden gems or warning signs to steer clear of. 8855-0893. Be involved in this conversation and text us whether you think it's going to be hot or not. You ready, Ryan?
Yep, talking about racing, these stocks are on the move.
That's right. According to a new IEA report, despite significant uncertainties, the EV market is on course to exceed 40% by 2030 as they become increasingly affordable in more markets. So we're seeing tons of growth in terms of global sales and how electric cars are on track to surpass 20 million cars in 2025, accounting for over a quarter of cars sold worldwide. And more specifically, I'm turning our attention over to two cars. That is BYD and Tesla. Of the two, Ryan, which would you say is your favorite?
Wow, that's a tough one. If I had to choose, BYD's cars are more affordable, so I'll go there.
Oh, that's fair. Is there a particular model that appeals to you?
If I had to choose within the range, right, I think a Denza D9 is pretty good.
We got the same taste, Ryan. You've got very good taste.
And massage chairs and all that.
Oh my goodness, don't get me started on that. But yes, BYD is not only our favorite, it looks like there's a new favorite in town for Europe because BYD sold more electric vehicles than Tesla for the first time in the European market. That's overtaking the American brand that's long led the continent's EV segment. According to market researcher Jato Dynamics, China's top automaker registered more than 7,000 new battery electric vehicles in April. Now, that marked a 169% increase from a year earlier, and also pushing BYD into the top 10 brands by EV sales. Meanwhile, Tesla was placed one spot back as its registrations had plunged by 49%, Ryan. So, Jato Dynamics analysts have noted that while the difference between the two car brands' monthly sales totals may be small, the implications are quite enormous, and it's considered to be a watershed moment for Europe's car market, particularly when you consider that Tesla has led the European BEV market for years. So if you look at how Tesla's performed, it's continued to slump despite accelerating growth in the Europe's EV segment. Registrations, while it's rose 28% industry-wide, we've got EV brand Volkswagen selling 61% more electric cars in April than a year earlier. So in comparison to how all these cars are performing, you can see how Tesla continues to lag, while we've got the local brands in Europe and as well as BYD, from the likes of BYD, they're doing a lot better than expected. So Volkswagen AG's Skoda more than tripled with its EV registrations. BYD outsold Tesla by an even wider margin when including the car maker's plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. Now, the Chinese company's total sales, if we take a look at it as a whole, it has soared 359% in April from a year earlier. Talk about exponential growth.
It is. And in Singapore, they are making a lot of headway as well.
Yeah. Singapore, I believe just recently they were also ranked the number one brand. So it does show how much of an influence the brand is across the world. And up until recently, BYD and its Chinese peers had prioritized selling fully electric cars in Europe. That's spurred by the region's ambitious targets to lower tailpipe emissions and transition the industry away from internal combustion engines. That approach changed when the European Union imposed higher tariffs on Chinese-made EVs last year because of the unfair advantage for its companies. Because if you talk about BYD, I think the first thing that comes to mind would be affordability, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, that's one reason. The other one that stands out for me is BYD does hybrids, which Tesla does not. And I think in this current transition stage, people want a bit of both as we get the infrastructure going along.
Certainly so. And yes, according to BYD's regional chief, in the near future, they will have two pillars, one of which will be electric. So BYD is about to reinforce its EV lineup in Europe with the Dolphin Serve. That's a fully electric hatchback that will sell for, wait for it, less than $26,000.
Wow, 26,000.
I don't think you can get anything for
minus
pricier in
COE,
Singapore.
without a COE, I think.
Without COE, of course, yes. The manufacturer presented the model in Berlin last Wednesday, announcing that the standard version with a range of 220 kilometers will be priced at about 19,990 euros in Germany until the end of June, and then 22,900 euros after that. So the Dolphin Serve, a modified and slightly longer version of its Seagull hatchback, offers premium features including rotating touchscreen, keyless entry, and advanced cruise control. So the car is likely to compete with the likes of Renault's SAR5 and Stellantis NV's Citroen's EC3. I believe that's what it's called. Tesla, on the other hand, is set to launch its long-promised robotaxi service in Austin. That's happening next month. And a lot of analysts are saying that they have to. So the countdown began just over a year ago when news broke that the company had abandoned its cheap electric vehicle project, and that CEO Elon Musk responded by announcing a robotaxi unveiling that's scheduled for August. So a lot of things to look out for in terms of Tesla, which has been quite dry, seeing how Elon Musk has been quite involved in the political scene in the US, right?
Yeah, I can't really see a robo-taxi service taking off. And I've seen Elon Musk push back on deadlines before, like for the Cybertruck, like for many other projects. So I think this is going to be one I will not be waiting with bated breath.
All right, that's a good point that you've raised there, Ryan. Thanks for bringing that up. So with Tesla's core EV business having slumped since then, Musk's repeated promises of a June rollout that have pushed the stock back up to a ridiculously high multiple and trillion-dollar valuation remains to be seen how sustainable they would be. So verdict for today, BYD is going to be a hot, Tesla's going to be a not.
Yeah, I've got my eye on the tariffs, right? So as a Chinese exporter or car maker going into Europe or the US, they might face a tough time this year or maybe in the coming years.
Yep.
As we've seen with the US-China trade tensions, and even Europe as well might be slapping tariffs on Chinese exporters. So a lot of moving parts for this story.
Yeah, let's see how it continues to develop over the rest of the next 6 months. But that's pretty much all we have for today's Stocks in Focus, BYD and Tesla. Now, Ryan, do you know when the first electric vehicle was ever made?
Oh, gosh. 100 years ago?
Close. Yeah, actually more than 100 years ago. It was first created and tested in 1881 by French inventor, I think this is pronounced as Gustave Trouvé.
Okay.
Yeah, so he fitted small electric motor powered by a rechargeable battery to an English tricycle. So this wasn't patented, but it's widely considered the first human-carrying electric vehicle with its own power source.
Wow, so it's been a long time in the making.
Yeah,
Okay.
so how do EVs stay in such a good mood?
They get charged up?
They're fully charged for the day.
Okay.
And why are EV drivers so calm?
Oh, no. Because they are charged up.
Because, Ryan, they know how to conduct themselves under pressure.
Okay.
And that's all we have for BYD and Tesla.
Before acting on the information on Money FM, please consider if it's suitable for your own investment objectives, financial situation, and risk tolerance. To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.